Hotep, Ankh Ujasaneb. Welcome to another live broadcast of Adults Only. I am your big brother Jahi, and tonight we're going to continue to talk about our subject matter, which we started on last week. And the subject matter is entitled Body Abuse. Body Abuse. This is part two. And someone may ask, why are you still talking about body abuse? Well, the answer is simple. Just look at all of us. For the most part, look at many of us. We are overweight, we are out of weight, we don't exercise, we don't eat properly. And we must have this discussion because this discussion is crucial to us when it comes to learning what we need to do as a people, eating wise, because our eating habits are terrible. And we need to discuss that. In fact, right off the top, I want to show you something. And when I show you this, you may agree or you may not agree, but here is what we're dealing with when it comes to us as a people and what we do. We have to realize that many of us, we have been eating for so many years that we don't realize that we have become very, very overweight. And if you look at this, you're going to see that this is just one image of the shopping carts that we use when we as a people go to the store, just for the most part. So many of us, we act as if we are animals because what we do is we actually put so much in our carts. And what we're doing is a lot of this food is basically, it's death food. And this is why we need to have this discussion because we don't know how to shop and we don't know how to eat. I want to show you another image real quick. And I want you to see this image because this is pretty much where we are right now. Yes, we have to eat. Yes, we must do the best we can when it comes to eating. Yes, we should all, as a people, choose proper foods when we do eat. But many of us, we throw things on that cart, and those things that we put on that cart, it doesn't help us. And so what I'm trying to get us to see tonight is I want us to take a very close look at our eating habits and what we do and how we can really help ourselves because we all need help. And this is just basically an indication of what we do when we go shopping, how we just throw things on the cart and we don't put the right things enough. And so having said that, I want you to know that tonight, this broadcast can be seen every Wednesday at 6 o'clock Central Standard Time. And tonight, I'm going to also get my field reporter. I want to get him in here. That's Chaz. He's going to also share with us because normally when we talk about health, that type of thing, he comes in and he gives us insights that we all need to look at. So right off the top, let's talk about what is the main issue. What is the main issue? Well, without beating around the bush, I'm going to show you the main issue. And here it is right here. The main issue is a fact. It is a fact and it is unequivocal. We can't deny it. We cannot get around it. And the fact is this, that many of us, we as a people, African Americans, it says that we are more likely to die from poor health than any other group in America. And this is true. This is true, lovely people. I'll say that again and I'll slow it down. African Americans are more likely to die from poor health than any other group in America. And why is that? Why is that? I mean, we have answers to that. I want to start off by acknowledging beautiful queens that are watching the broadcast. We start off by looking at Sister Zuri. She says Imhotep, and we say Imhotep back to her. Then we see the beautiful queen Mudiwa, Rico. She says Hotep family. All these are greetings. These greetings are from people who are concerned about their health. And we also see Bibi. She's watching this. These are concerned sisters, and there are brothers too as well. But right now, these are the shout outs that I wanted to give because I can see the comments. I'm kind of doing two things at one time. So please hang in there with me tonight and listen to this. African Americans are more likely to die from poor health, y'all. We know that we're getting killed in other areas, but this is one of the things that is self-inducive. In other words, it's self-induced. We do this to ourselves. We're more likely to die than any other group in America. And so we need to look at this tonight and we need to see what is it that we can do? What is it that we can do for ourselves. And there are so many things that we can do to help ourselves. And this is why I wanted to bring in the field reporter. I wanted to bring in a commentator, someone who actually can share with us some valuable insights. And so I've called him now, but I want you to look at this. Your grandmother, my grandfather, your sisters, my brothers, our nieces and our nephews, we're dying because we're putting things in our bodies. We're drinking things that we should not be drinking, and we're overindulging in those things. And so this is why I wanted you to listen to this tonight. We all are struggling, and I want to encourage us because we can do something about it, and we should do something about it. The average life expectancy, they say, in African Americans' lives, older people are in our 60s or our 70s. Well, we should be living longer than that. And a lot of it is because of what we're doing to ourselves. So having said that, I want to show you a chart as well while we're waiting on our commentator to actually show up here. But here's something that we want to look at as well. Brothers and sisters, I think what we have to face, that is reality. And here is the reality. A lot of us, we're not eating properly. We're not eating proper fruits. We're not eating proper vegetables. We're not taking care of ourselves. And so as a result of this, we find ourselves going to the doctor because of high blood pressure. We find ourselves going to the hospital because of diabetes. We find ourselves in very, very bad shape. And I don't want that to be. And you shouldn't want that to be. So this broadcast is an encouragement. It's an encouragement to all of us. Because if you see on the actual screen here, we need to eat more fruits. We need to eat more vegetables. We need to indulge in these types of eating habits, because these eating habits are going to keep us around. And this is why we're having this discussion. Our children are dying at a younger age. Our children are on blood pressure medicines at young ages. Our grandparents are on medicines at older ages. You and I are on medicines at older age, because this fact tells us again that African Americans, people of color, the descendants of the enslaved, we are more likely to die from poor health than any other group in America. And somebody tells us that it's hereditary. That's a lie. That is a bold-faced lie. It is not hereditary. What it is it's the things that you and I are putting in our bodies. Those are the same things that our ancestors put in their bodies, and our mothers and our grandmothers, they fed us the same thing. And so now when we got older, we thought that was the right diet. And so what we've done is we've also picked up that habit. That habit is terrible, and that habit is really, really hurting us. So again, I'm waiting on my correspondent to actually come on so we can look at some of the things that we can do, because I want you to know that we can do some things to help ourselves. So brothers and sisters, today, this broadcast is about body abuse. We abuse our bodies. Yes, we do. We talk about, as I said last week, we talk about physical abuse when people get beaten up or people are in relationships that's not really great. We say that they shouldn't be in those relationships. We talk about child abuse, how our children are being neglected and our children are being mistreated, and those things shouldn't happen. But when are we going to talk about what we're doing to ourselves, what I'm doing to myself, what you're doing to yourself? And that's why we're having this discussion. So wonderful people, let's continue to have this discussion, because it's very, very pertinent. It's necessary. And so having said that, let's go to another screen to show what's actually going on in our lives. And so as we go to our screen, I see our correspondent has come on, and I'm going to bring him in real soon. But I just wanted to show another screen and talk about this briefly. And here it is. We're eating foods that are highly saturated. In other words, we got a lot of fat in them. And when you go to the store, many foods, they have labels on them, and they're in front of the pack. So making it easy to check the amount and type of fat they contain. If not, it should be on the back. When labels are coded with red, amber, and green, go for the green and the amber as much as possible, because we see how much fat that we should take, which is 3 grams or less. Then we look at what many of us take, 3 to 17 grams. And then a lot of us take 17.5 grams or more. And this is terrible. This is ridiculous. And so I speak this way because of the passion that I have for all of us. And I'm included as well. Look at this salt. Look at this sugar. The body doesn't need all of that sugar. The body makes sugar. But yet, because we have a conditioned mindset, many of us think that we have to have these sweets and these sugars and this salt, which is in excess. And so having said that, I want to at this time get rid of this chart, and I want to bring in my correspondent, who when I do broadcasts, he comes on many occasions and he shares with us. He's like a field reporter. And so I want to bring him on today, and we're going to continue to show you charts. We're going to look at videos, sit back, call a friend, and let's enjoy taking care of ourselves. This is a wonderful broadcast because it's teaching us how to eat to live as opposed to digging a grave with our teeth. Okay, Brother Chaz, how you doing today?
I'm doing all right. Yourself?
Good. I'm doing fantastic. I'm glad you can come on today and share with us some insights. I know you're a stickler on healthy living, healthy diet. And what made you become involved in eating healthy, if I might ask?
I don't know if there was anything in particular. It's just something like I've always really been big on as far as like exercise, always getting the heart rate pumping. So I don't know if there's anything in particular. It's just something I think I've always pretty much had the itch for.
Okay, well, we're going to get right into it because now we're going to look at these are things that we can do to better ourselves. And I'm going to just show some points, and then we'll talk about those points as we normally do. But the very first point is this. Choose foods with little to no added sugar. Now, Chaz, you mentioned last week about the brain and some of the things that happens to us. Why should we stay away from all of that sugar?
I think you did a broadcast on this before. The sugar is terrible when we intake that stuff in year after year, day after day, month after month. It does so much damage to the brain. It tears the teeth down. Yeah. It just really, really is something that if you can, I know like you just mentioned, there's sugar in everything that we just about eat, but cut back on it as much as possible if you can.
Yeah, that's true. And then some of us as parents, we feed our children sugar, and when they grow up, they think that's normal. But it's really unnatural. It's not normal. But according to the children, they feel like because I was raised on this, I will continue to do this. And then they do it to their children, and they do it to their children. And then you have a vicious cycle. And what about this one, Chaz? This says stay away from sodium or salt as much as possible. Now, high blood pressure is one of the results of too much salt. And some people think, again, I have to reiterate this. They say that we are genetically predisposed with this. And I'm saying, no, it has nothing to do with what's in our genes. It has to do with our lifestyle and what we're eating. Would you like to elaborate on that?
Sure. And I want to put myself on blast, too, because I do this a lot and I need to stop. Sometimes when I eat foods, no matter what it is, I always run to the cabinet. You know what I'm looking for? Some salt. Instead of just, saying be disciplined, eat it dry. I always have to put salt on stuff, and I think it's a habit because there's some foods that don't need salt. I just do it because I have that itch for it because I've had it all my life. Like you mentioned, it causes high blood pressure, so I want to go ahead and blast myself because salt, I'm constantly looking for that. So I said, you know what? I need to cut back on salt as much as possible, and it's so addicting, but it can be done.
What a beautiful broadcast, not because you and I are moderating it, but because these are subjects that we must discuss. Do you know we're leaving here, Chaz, much earlier than we need to? In other words, we're checking out. We're dying much earlier than we should because of the very thing that you and I are talking about now. And I'm included as well. We're letting you know that we all have to work hard on staying away from this salt and staying away from all this sugar. It's not necessary. We don't need it. And that also leads to obesity, which we don't like to discuss. But most of us, and I will say this, most of us are overweight. We're overweight, and we don't like to admit it, but we're overweight because of the things that we're putting in our bodies, especially this sugar, And what would you encourage someone, Chaz, to say, well, I'm overweight, and I'm addicted to sugar. I love it. Would you give them just one basic tip that you can share with them that will just help them, even though they're saying they love it? What would they need to do mentally, or what's one little tip you would share with them?
I would say, try to be as mentally strong as you can. Even though it's a tough habit to kick, tell yourself, say, you know what? Even though I've had this habit for decades and decades, I'm not going to take this sugar. I can be disciplined enough. And then second of all, and I'm not trying to be scary here, just picture yourself going to the doctor and them saying, you know, this is it. You got 2 weeks to live. You've had all this sugar throughout the years. And since you didn't stop it, now it's come to the point there you cannot live any longer. So basically, I know I'm being extreme here, but these are some of the things I tell myself to scare myself. That way, it's not as bad as I would want it to be, you know, going down the line.
Well, and Chess, we think that obesity and high blood pressure, diabetes, we think that's common among us because when we go to the doctor teaches us, and they try to tell us sometimes, well, yeah, your mother, your father, it runs in the family. And I'm telling you, it runs in the family because we're basically eating the same thing that they're eating. And we think that everyone is exempt from it. But I want to show a quick video, and I want you to listen to two football players. One is an ex-football player, and one is the ex-coach. And they're going to talk, it's only about a minute because, you know, we love to do charts and we love to show screens of things that people need to discuss. But this is something that I want everyone to sit back and watch, and you're going to enjoy it because it's basically people who have been in the sporting world, and they're saying they've had issues as well when it comes to their weight, and they want us to know that we need to take care of ourselves. And I'm going to see if I can bring it up here, and let's see if I can play it. Here we go.
Obesity is a medical condition, not a character flaw. When you're in a league, of course you have the resources. Every year you got doctors and trainers that are constantly working on you to help you perform at your maximum level on a football field. But when you retire, those resources aren't they aren't there anymore. I ended up putting on probably about 20 to 25 pounds quickly. Just lounging around.
We have large people in my family, so I didn't necessarily feel like that I was an oddball by being big.
I went to the doctor, and you know my levels were getting kind of high. You know, pre-diabetic. I was like, oh no, I don't want to go down that path.
I've been on that roller coaster ride as far as my weight is concerned, and it's still a battle today.
Invest in yourself. Take the time to go to the doctors and really find out what's going on with your body. And at the end of the day, I want the best for everyone. I want everybody to live their best life as long as they possibly can, because you only live once.
1, 2, 3, huddle up. Let's talk obesity.
Now you see, Chaz, these are our football players, you know, right, athletes who are telling us that we've got to stop it, and we can stop it. And so,
can I say something?
Sure, go ahead, brother. Go ahead.
There's a lot of things now, and I'm not taking a shot at anybody, but a lot of people have this thing called body positivity, to where we embrace big bone people instead of not calling them fat, sloppy pigs or anything like that. But instead of saying that brother Jim needs to go to the gym. Oh no, Jim isn't big. Isn't fat. He's big bone. This is body positivity. Take him how he is. We have to we cannot sit up here and do that, because do you see what this body positivity is doing to us? And it's not just one person as a whole. This is all over America. There's nothing good about body positivity because it's embracing obesity, making it seem like it's okay when it's really not.
Yeah, that's so true. And I think a lot of times we don't realize that. I'm putting another point on here, and I want to comment on that too. Reduce the excess eating of saturated fat. That's really killing us. But when it comes to our weight, we're getting the data jumbled. We're getting it mixed up. Yes, we can care for people regardless of their size, and we should, because love is about a heart matter. But what we're trying to say is a lot of this is not good for our health. And if you want that person to be around, you may want to tell them or encourage them, hey, you're gaining a lot of weight. It's not good for you. And if they really love you, because to me, I'd rather you tell them that than to tell them, let's go get a hamburger, let's go get pizza, let's go get all this greasy food to kill ourselves. So basically, we don't know when people love us.
Right.
Because we're going on what the media is teaching us, but like what you're saying and what I'm saying is we have a problem with eating, and we don't know how to eat. We don't know how to feed our children. We don't know how to stay away from foods that are saturated with fat. And this is why we have high cholesterol. This is why a lot of us go to the doctors. Now, I know for a fact that somebody in your family, somebody in my family, somebody in all of our families have passed away because of blood pressure, high blood pressure, or because of a stroke, because of a heart attack, because of something that they did that they didn't take care of when it comes to their body. And I think that's something that we definitely need to continue to talk about, because a lot of us don't realize that these foods that we're eating, they're taking us out of here. And some people don't realize they don't see anything wrong with it, but I see a whole lot of things wrong with it, because that fat that we're eating, it's going to actually do greater damage than good. In fact, look at this, Chaz. I got a chart up. It's going to be coming up real soon. And this chart is basically talking about how we as a people need to stay away from certain foods. And it teaches us that the 5 top sources of heartbreaking saturated fat. Now, 5 top sources of heartbreaking saturated fats. It says avoid these 5 items and eat a plant-based diet for a healthy heart. We should avoid eating cheese. Now, Chaz, this is slapping me all in the face, because I'm gonna tell you now, I'm struggling with that. And this is why I like people's honesty and integrity. I'm struggling with that because I eat cheese and I need to just at least start cutting down, but I'm working on it. And this is all we're saying to you.
Right.
To work on it. Stay away from beef. Would you like to talk about the beef? Because, Chaz, we love beef in America.
Like you just said, you put yourself out about cheese. You have a tough time. I told you I have a tough time with salt. And like you said, you can't cut it cold turkey. But the thing is to slowly step back, at least step by step, and then hopefully you can cut it. As far as with beef, I would suggest everybody that's listening to this, go to YouTube and just type in on YouTube the way beef is created. The way that some of these people are slaughtering these animals. And if you look at these videos, I don't see how a person would want to eat beef or chicken or anything like that again. If you look at the videos and some of the pain and agony that these animals have faced, and what you're doing is the energy that that animal had at that time of fear, you're enduring that. Once you put that in your body, you're eating that same energy that that animal had at the time it was slaughtered. Wow. So that's an indication that you shouldn't be eating beef. I would suggest everybody to go look at those videos. They're kind of graphic, but it's the point I'm trying to prove to get us to stop eating this junk because it's not good for us.
A beautiful queen, BB, she says ground turkey is better than beef, and she's telling the truth. We have to look at an alternative eating habit. Some people may say, well, I don't even like turkey. Well, it's not what we like or not like. If you don't do it, that's fine. But we're talking to the people that are struggling with this beef. This is a substitute that you can put in that's better for you. Also, number 3, we need to stay away from other fats and oils. And then milk. Chaz, milk, I mean, we've made milk so what we call adorable. We love milk. Yes. You know? So
I'm gonna
go ahead.
Let me take another pot shot at myself. I love coffee. And the first thing normally before I get going, I'm going to that fridge and I'm looking for creamer. Creamer is basically milk. Mm-hmm. So that's another thing that I have to really try to cut back on is that milk. It's got so much stuff for us males. It lowers the testosterone. It just does so much stuff. So like you said, milk, we got to definitely I have to stay away from it a lot as well.
You stepping on a lot of toes, Chaz. I shouldn't have you on my broadcast because you over here talking about me. I don't think you should be doing that. Also, frankfurters, sausages, and lunch meats. These are the things that we say is good eating. And Chaz, I want to say something now that we're going to probably take some heat from, but I got to say it. A lot of the stuff that we're calling soul food, Chaz, is death food. It's death food. It's death food. And here's why. Because this food that we're eating now, the thing of it is we don't know how to sit down and have a piece of this or a small helping or serving of that. We've got to pile this thing on the plate where the plate is running over, and this is the problem that we have. We don't eat in moderation. So soul food is actually death food to many of them.
And can I say something? And I'm not taking a shot at any businesses who have these establishments around, but there's literally soul food restaurants in some of our neighborhoods. And it's to the point to where some of the guys and women that shop there, they know there goes Sister Deborah. She comes here every day. She's always in here. And Sister Deborah goes in there stepping, thinking that's not good to be reckoned. Soul food, steak, ribs, collard greens, and then you wonder why you're so sleepy and lethargic. Your chest, it's not good. It's definitely not good.
On a serious note, because this is a serious broadcast, we have fun with it, but we're trying to make light of it from the standpoint of we need to do a better job, because look at us. But I want to show you something that's not very funny. It's an older video, but I want to show you a video of a man named DeAndre Gaines. And we're going to look at what he had to go through. And I really believe that if we look at this and we learn from this, we won't have to repeat it, because this man had a heart attack. And he was really struggling, and I'm just going to let you see it because I think it's worth noting. I'm going to play it here. Okay, let me go back in there and grab it because this is something that we want to see. So bear with me. But you know, this is serious. This is very serious because we're really running out of life, man. We're running out of life. Because a lot of us don't see that this is just too bad that we're going through this. So let's look at this video here, if I can get it to go.
Heart disease is the top killer of Black men in America. It's becoming more and more prevalent in younger age groups. While it can be detected and prevented through regular primary care, many Black men don't seek it out. To drive home the importance of early detection, one man shared his story with Eric King in hopes you'll check in with your doctor right now.
In 2007, DeAndre Gaines found himself dizzy with his heart pounding.
On my way to work one morning and just didn't feel right.
Hours later, he woke up in an emergency room.
They told me I was having heart failure.
DeAndre was 28 years old. He ended the day with a new pacemaker implanted in his heart. It was what you might call a bad day.
Terrible.
It wouldn't be the last of the bad days. Depression, continued health struggles, and incarceration plagued him for several years. By 2020, his heart, and this time his body, were failing.
All of his organs were starting to fail. If he had not gotten to us, he probably wouldn't have made it. Let me see your equipment for you.
Kimberly Vessels is DeAndre's heart failure nurse practitioner and part of the Norton Healthcare team that implanted DeAndre with a VAD machine, which is essentially a mechanical heart.
When people think about heart failure, they think of it as an older white male disease. It is for that population, for the older white males, but we see younger African-American males with this disease.
At age 43, DeAndre's life now depends on rechargeable 18-hour batteries.
If I leave the house, I have to put on battery packs. When I'm in the house, I have to plug myself into a wall unit. You know, that was an adjustment of his own, you know, of not being able to get up and go the way I want to go.
Happy and spending as much time as he can with his 4 kids, DeAndre and his medical team know time is part of the concern.
The average life expectancy is 75. I have to be able to get you to 75 in some way or another. And an artificial heart pump at the age of 40 is going to be difficult to get them to 75.
Medically, DeAndre's next hope is for a heart transplant. But the hope of his current heart, both authentic and metal, is that others don't make the same mistake of ignoring the early warning signs of high blood pressure.
Go get checked. Just go. Doesn't matter what it's about. Just self-care is the best care. Go and get yourself checked out.
Doctors say getting screened and treated for high blood pressure can be the singular most important health choice that you can make, especially for African Americans who are genetically predisposed to high blood pressure and tend to get it at early ages.
Yeah, Chaz, you see, this is something, man. This is really, it's terrible, but that's what's going on in a lot of our lives. And you know, my heart goes out not just to this brother, DeAndre Gaines, but just to all of us, because we don't like to be honest about what we're doing, and then we don't like to try to do something to help ourselves when we know that we're consuming too much sugar. We know we're consuming too much salt. We know we're consuming too much fat. We know we're consuming those things, too much alcohol. We know we're consuming too much dope. You know, we know we're consuming too much. And it's like, at what point in time will we sit back and say, hey, I need to take this thing that I have that's called a life. I have to take it serious, because like he said, you're going to get one of them physically. And if you abuse your body, and if I abuse my body, that's what is in store for us. In fact, he made it out, but a lot of people don't make it out.
Can I ask you a quick question?
Sure.
What would you say to the people, like, of course, we need to exercise to combat this. What would you say to the people who have a tough time getting their health in order because they don't have that partner or that motivator to keep them going on a day-to-day basis? What would you say to those kind of people?
Well, I would say that you should try to do the best you can to motivate yourself, because this is your life. No one else is going to be able to help you. They can encourage you, just like you can encourage me, because you did. You told me even a year or so ago, brother, you need to drink more water because you're drinking too much soda water. You're drinking too much of this. And I was. And so even though you encouraged me, I had to do it. And then when I look at my blood levels and how my blood is all out of whack because I'm not drinking enough water, then I have to decide. And a lot of us, we just have to decide in our hearts that sometimes people are not going to encourage us. In fact, Chaz, I would say the opposite. When you tell people you're eating a healthy lifestyle and having a healthy diet, they're going to critique you and criticize you. Oh, who do you think you are? And so what I'm saying,
you grew up on this food. Who makes you different now?
Yeah, so that's what I'm trying to say, that we have to be able to look at our own selves in the mirror and say, I know I'm doing too much when it comes to eating these things and putting it in my body. A brother says high blood pressure and heart disease is the aftermath of a lifestyle. He says, and it's a traditional diet. Yeah, that's because this is what we've been getting all of our lives. And we don't realize that the things that we're getting, we don't research the foods. We don't look at these babies that's growing up to say, if I have high blood pressure, why is that? So let me look at these foods I'm eating, and investigate. Now I'm going to show another video of an African-American doctor. Her name is Dr. Mercedes Carnathon, and she's going to talk. And I know I'm showing videos left and right today, but we have to do this, y'all. We have to do this because of our health. Just look at us as a people. A lot of sisters don't want to see this. A lot of sisters don't want to hear this. A lot of brothers don't want to see this. A lot of brothers don't want to hear this. But you're dying. I'm dying. Your children are dying. Your grandchildren are dying. And it all has to do with a lot of the things that we're feeding them. So I want to see if we can get a sister that's a doctor, if I can pull up this video real quick, to let her explain to us and teach us what we have to do.
One of the reasons the risk factors tend to occur more often in Black Americans is because of the environments and communities in which we are exposed. Picture, for example, the young child who grows up in a safe neighborhood with a large backyard where they can go out, play, and get exercise and walk around. And then picture a contrasting picture, a young child growing up somewhere where the neighborhood isn't safe due to crime, where the playground equipment isn't safe for them to play on. Those children growing up in that environment may be more likely to stay inside, watch TV, and eat snacks. And we see this divergence in risk factor patterns happening in youth. So it really does start with that child who has more or less access to exercise. And then as we age, this ends up magnifying over time. Adults who have jobs that don't allow them the free time to be able to exercise in their time off, or that don't provide enough income to purchase healthy foods, those people choose less healthy diets that put them at risk for high blood pressure, obesity, high cholesterol, diabetes, the ABCDs that we know lead to heart attacks and strokes.
That's so true, Chaz. That is so true. I'm going to ask you to do me a favor. Sure. Because I've messed around, and now what I've done is I better plug my battery up, or else this broadcast is gonna just go away, and people are gonna say, "What happened to them?" So can you just talk about what she said about how it starts as a child? I'm just gonna plug my battery up real quick so we can keep going. Go for it.
Sure. She's absolutely right. It starts as a child. If you're in a low income neighborhood, I would try to go and combat it as far as having a parent or somebody around watch you jog up and down the street with your schoolmates. Just because, and I think we use that as a fallback because some of us are in low income families that we just think that that's okay to not exercise. No, even if you are, you can still exercise as a kid, stay off the cell phone. And like she also mentioned, the kids that live in a high income neighborhood, they're more likely to work out, exercise, play with their teammates, etc. And I think it's just sad, depending on basically where that child lives and how much money the parent has, kind of dictates the health of the child. And it's a shame. It's a crying shame.
It really is. And it's like she said, it starts at a young age. And what we don't realize is that our parents and our grandparents, they basically paved the way for some of the foods that we eat and based upon our income. But then we go ahead and we do the same thing to our children. We don't have discussions where we sit down and say, why do you eat so many greasy foods and what it's going to do to you? Even though our children like them, yeah, they taste good. You know, donuts and all that, it tastes good. It's sweet. But in the long run, you know, you may end up in a situation that you don't need. Another brother says Black people make their own cholesterol eating fried, saturated fats and high cholesterol diet. He said it's bad for us. And this is what we're saying. We're saying the same thing. So having said that, here's one of the things that we can do. That's why I like this broadcast, because we're giving tips to all of us, because we all are in the same boat. Many of these broadcast hosts, they come on and talk down to us, but yet here's some two brothers that's teaching that what we all have to do together. And a lot of people don't want to hear this, but here's one thing that we can do, Chaz, and I want to talk about this. Get enough protein throughout the day. And this is why a lot of us are sleepy, and as you mentioned, lethargy. You know, you get that in a lot of nuts and things like that. And then do your own research, I should say. Find the foods, find the fruit that has protein in it. And then I'm sure some of it we would like. And it's not a matter of loving it or liking it. It's like doing it to stay around. Even with our children, we should give them throughout the day vegetables. We should give them fruit. You know, we should give them nuts, berries, those kinds of things, because the protein is necessary. Yes, plant-based protein. Do something is what we're saying, because we have to throw the lifeline out, because a lot of people aren't talking about diet right now. We're talking about sports, and that's fine. We're talking about entertainment. That's fine. We're talking about all politics. That's fine. We're talking about religion. That's fine. We're talking about spirituality. That's fine. But we have to slow the train down, brother, and start talking about how we should take a better care of ourselves. Would you agree?
I agree. And can I sidestep that real quick?
Sure.
As far as our little ones, our children, our little ones, like I showed you in that video a few weeks ago about how they're expecting by 2050 or 2040 by half the world to be obese. The staggering statistic in all of it was the rise of the obesity in our kids.
Mm-hmm.
Our kids. And I mean, that's not talked about. I mean, we're adults here. We all know right from wrong. But our little ones, they're so precious. Their minds are so innocent. And it's a shame at the rate that it's going that they're even affected by it. And I think we need to start speaking more about our little ones and our kids to get them in shape too, because you don't want them at the age of 10 to, you know, have all these health issues.
Yeah, that's so true. And that's why I'm thinking that we should continue to talk about this periodically, because, and I say, just look at us. Just look at us. A brother says again, fruits and veggies should be 90% of your diet. Yeah. And see, the thing of it is that's easy to say. And I do agree with the brother. So I want him to realize that I'm in total agreement with him. But what I want to get to is this. When you don't have a diet like that, you can write, you and I can say all this all we want. But when you don't have a diet like that, and your mind and my mind is not like that, we're not going to drop everything and just do what we say. We're saying we want to encourage you to start. You have to start somewhere. If you think that people are going to put down their pizzas just because of a broadcast, you got another thing coming. So do I. Right. What we are saying is at least start bagging up. Start like with me. When it comes to the soda, I stopped drinking it a little bit at a time. I couldn't just go cold turkey. Some people can. But the way my mind was, I had to pull back. And now I don't even drink it. So I think critique people that do, but at the same time, because I'm a hypocrite, because I did it. Go ahead, brother.
And I think that's spot on. I think for everybody that's listening to this broadcast, like you mentioned, cut back a little bit at a time. If you drink 3 cans of soda a day, try to cut it down to 2. Yeah. Then cut it down to 1. I'm not sitting up here telling you that you can just snap a finger and drop it all. It's just about slowly but surely cutting back little by little. And then before you know it, you won't even do it anymore. And you'll feel so much better. You'll see the improvement.
Yeah, and the brother just wrote back to me. He says, actually, I do everything I'm preaching. And I'm not talking about him. I'm saying that's good, you know. And see, I guess sometimes people don't know when we're trying to, I'm encouraging all of us. And so if he's doing everything he's saying, that's good. We applaud that. We want him to keep doing it. Good. But everyone isn't like me. Everyone isn't like you.
Right.
People have a situation that they're going through when it comes to food, and a lot of people have to go through the process, and so that's what we're trying to say. And again, I want the brother to keep doing that and to keep sharing with us. But just realize that everybody's not going to stop everything. We're just saying that look at yourself. What about this one, Chaz? Season food with herbs and citrus such as lemon juice instead of always sprinkling the salt and the sugar on things.
And that's one thing I forgot to mention, the herbs. Now, I go to Vitamin Shop and I go to GNC, and this is not bragging here. This is just things that helps the body. Herbs do so much for the body. Now, everything isn't always popping something and everything goes away. But with the proper diet, water, and exercise, you take these herbs, man, I got a backpack full of herbs, and you'll be surprised at how much health benefits you see. Now, I'm not going to lie. I'm not too big on lemon juice. I'm not going to down anybody that does it. But the herbs factor, I would suggest anybody go to your local Vitamin Shop or GNC and ask the cashier behind the register, what kind of herbs should I be taking? Chia seeds, flax seeds. You'll be surprised at how much your inflammation will shoot down.
Good. I want to do a quick commercial before we go to our next point. The commercial is this Saturday at 1:00. Central Standard Time. I'm on a broadcast with another brother. His name is Kevin Lewis. We're going to be doing the Ja and Kev show.
Okay.
We normally go on the first and the third Saturday, but we didn't do it the first Saturday this month. So we're going to do it again this Saturday, and we're going to be talking about real education. I'll tell you now, Chaz, I'm going to take the gloves off because we must have this discussion on education. Right now, I'm relaxed. I'm laid back. I'm just pretty much melancholy. But on this Saturday, I may have to have the paramedics come and give me some kind of resuscitation because I'm going to go in and you're going to say, I have never heard you talking like that. No, I'm not going to disrespect anyone, but I'm going to talk about the education that our children are getting. And many of us, we talk about it, but we don't do anything to help our children. So that's what I want you to tune in. 1:00.
Yes.
Go and subscribe to the Ja and Kev show. And it's a live call-in, so you can call in. So again, sisters and brothers, we love you a lot. We really want you to continue to watch this broadcast called Adults Only. And Chaz and I are just talking about body abuse part 2. And we're going to pick up the train, let it keep going with saying this. Avoid sugary drinks. Why, Chaz? Why?
Man.
It doesn't taste, listen, if it doesn't have any sugar in it, it doesn't taste good, man. It doesn't taste good.
Brother, and like I said, I've kind of programmed myself to try to, stop like Gatorade and all that stuff. But brother, that is spot on. The average person that I see, they'll ask, why do you drink so much water, what have you? And the thing is, the sugar in those drinks, like you mentioned, it decays the teeth. It tears the insides in and out. And it tastes good, like you said. It tastes so good, but I think a lot of us as a whole, getting away from sugary drinks, it's so tough, brother, because it feels good. You smiling, you under that air conditioning, talking that yak. And I mean, it just feels good. So I have to admit, but these sugary drinks, they're poison. They're basically poison.
Right. And I think we should try to avoid drinking all of that type of stuff. And again, there's things that if one has to drink something, then and we know we must drink. We need to drink water, man. We need to drink water. Because like the brother says, soft drinks and all that, it's loaded with sugar. In fact, a guy took a Coke, he popped it open and he poured it on a battery cable and it cleaned the battery cable and my glasses fogged up because that's how powerful it was. He poured the Coke on the battery cables. It had a lot of soot on it and it all came off. And I'm like, oh my goodness. So we're putting that in our bodies. And all we're saying is we all have to do a better job. You have to do a better job. I have to do a better job. And to those who already have mastered this, we say we applaud you for that. But then to those who are struggling, we want to encourage you because this broadcast is about encouragement. Now, Chaz, I'm going to put something up now, and I know you're going to say something about this next point. I just know for a fact. I'm going to put it up, and I'm going to read it, and I'm going to get out the way.
Okay.
Stop eating all day and all night long.
Well, I would say to that, like you said, and to everybody that's listening, this is not a shot at you. This is not to make you feel bad, but this is just a habit. If we're getting the proper nutrition, we won't have to snack. We won't have to always be running to the cabinet every 5 seconds looking for chips, looking for Cheez-Its, looking for cookies, looking for Oreos. We won't need all that. But it's so tough to because a lot of people that I used to be friends with will make bets. oh, you ain't eating enough chocolate chip cookies. Go get you another one. Or I had 5 and you only had 8. It's not about that. You need to cut back because the stuff is killing us.
Yeah, it really is. We got to stop eating all day and all night long. And that's the thing. Some people wake up, we wake up eating and we go to sleep eating. And then we eat late at night. We drink late at night. And this is something that really bothers us as a people.
Now, I forgot to say this real quick, and this is no shot at no one as well or anybody as well. Sometimes like the problem with a lot of us that we eat and drink a lot all day and all night, they say some of it can either be due to stress or depression. Now, if you're depressed, you're going to more likely be in this category where you're going to constantly be looking for food because whatever's going on in your life, you're looking for something to save you. You're looking for something to hold on to make you feel better. And to those who are struggling with stress or depression, please don't fall into this category because I've seen many men and many women in this category and they pack on 40 or 50 pounds within a 2-week period. And it's just a sad way to go out. So I would encourage people who are dealing with stress and depression, do not go down this route.
A brother says you shouldn't go to bed on a full stomach anyway, which is true. You shouldn't. And that's something that I've done. And I have to catch myself when if I eat and because I shouldn't and I eat at night late, then what I do is I try my best to just not eat and go to sleep. That's not healthy. But again, all these are just tips. We got to stop eating all day and all night long because, we have foods that are saturated in fat. And somebody might say, well, why are you talking about saturated and unsaturated fat? Well, because unsaturated fat foods, it lowers the bad cholesterol. And then the saturated fat, it causes high cholesterol. And when you have high cholesterol, that leads to all type of health problems. And if you notice on this screen here, you see foods that are saturated with fat, and then the unsaturated fat. And then it also teaches us that we got to stop. Look right here where I have the curse, if you can see it, right in the middle with the little red stop sign. We've got to stop these cookies. We got to stop these cakes, or we got to do it in moderation. Okay, Chaz, why is it that when we're eating all day and all night, why can't we just have, if we're going to do it, if we're going to cut back, why can't we have one cookie or a small piece of cake maybe once a month? Why do we have to have the half the cake on that plate and then say, boy, that was really good?
I think it's because there's a tiny voice in our heads that instead of just saying we can only eat 2 cookies, something tells us, and as we grew up, to just keep going and going and going until we get full. And if you're not full, then you ain't doing it right.
Because we don't know how to eat in moderation. Yeah, we don't know how to eat in moderation. And then also, a lot of us have mental issues. Our relationship with food, brother, our relationship with food is terrible in many instances, and mine's included. So what we have to do is, like you're saying, we have to work on that. We have to work on the relationship that we have with food. In other words, when we see something that looks good, we don't always have to even try it. You see, this is something that a lot of us need to have in our lives, is a discussion about we're killing ourselves at a young age. We're killing our children. We're killing our grandchildren. And yet we don't have the time to sit down and listen to Adults Only every Wednesday at 6 o'clock Central Standard Time to talk about the dangers of putting all of this stuff into our bodies, even when it comes to cooking. Go ahead, brother.
I forgot to mention real quick. One thing that should be talked about, if we can have the discipline, is called intermittent fasting. For those who don't know what intermittent fasting is, and I need to do a better job of this myself, tell yourself, after 8 o'clock at night, I'm not eating any more sweets. I'm not eating any more junk foods. Okay. I'm taking my butt to bed, and that's it. So from 8 p.m. that night until, let's say, 8 o'clock that morning, don't eat anything. The only thing you're welcome to is drink water. No juice, no cookies, no nothing. Now, if you practice this intermittent fasting, for me, I would say from 8 p to 8 at night to 8 a.m. the next morning. If you do that for a week, you'll be shedding weight like nothing, because they say when we sleep, we lose weight as well when we're not constantly putting this stuff in. So I would suggest intermittent fasting is another good tip for people who want to help lose weight as well.
You've heard it from our correspondent on Adults Only, Chaz. He's always talking about health tips to kind of help us. That was nothing but a great tip. And we have to do this, because you went right into our next point, which is this. We have to look at most of us are going to have to start drinking as this number 8 says. We've got to start drinking plenty of water. We haven't talked about that. We have to drink water because drinking water, it aids the digestive process. Now, we're not doctors, but yet these little tips that we're giving can help add at least 15 to 20 to 30 years to one's life. We've got to drink water. We've got, and some people say, I don't like water. I keep telling us, it's not about liking and disliking, you know. Right. A lot of things we don't like, but we have to do because this is a health issue, and we have to go deep into the heart, deep into the soul, deep into the mind to say, I know for a fact I'm not drinking enough water. Now, they say, Chaz, whatever you weigh, your body weight, you should drink half that amount in ounces of water, at least, or try at least.
I would say this too, as far as with the water. If your body, which all of us, our bodies are made of 75 to about 80% of water. So you might as well round that and say that's mostly all of our bodies is made up of water. If your body is made up of 75% of it, that tells you right there how important this fluid is. And then on top of it, and I had to deal with this too, and I'm still dealing with it at the top. If you drink enough water, it'll eliminate some of the acne. You drinking a lot of water, it'll loosen up those joints. You drink enough water, you'll feel more flexible. And once you go to once you go to that bathroom and you get ready to urinate, if you look at that doggone urine, if it's brown or gold, that tells you you're not getting enough. So you have to drink water.
Yeah, this brother says, when I wake up, I do a liquid diet with spring water till 2 p.m. each day. See, these are good, helpful tips. All we're trying to do is teach us how to eat to live, how to drink to live. But again, Chaz, I think when it comes to the mindset, and that's what I like to talk about, because all these tips are good when you just take them at face value. They sound good. They look good on the screen. But it's difficult because most of us have a different relationship, very difficult relationship with food. You see, we've been doing this all of our lives as far as the eating habits, and we have developed terrible eating habits. And now here we are telling people little things to do, tips, so that they can maintain a healthy lifestyle. And brother, I just want to talk about the importance, which I don't have it on here, but I want to put this in here, the importance of exercising. The importance of exercising. Well, you know, we've got to do a better job at exercise. And I don't mean going to a gym and pumping weight. If you can, and all that. But I mean just something as simple as going to the park or going down the street or walking, man.
Right. And here's what I'm starting to notice a lot for myself. I see a lot of older people now, even if they've had a knee replacement, that's no excuse. I'm seeing people at parks who are limping and they're walking. They're walking with their canes. I've seen some people, as far as if you're in the 50, 60, or 70 age group, there's dancing classes you can get into. There's swimming classes you can get into. To sit back and eat and just not do anything and just lay back and not exercise at all, it's terrible. And exercise, like you said, it's not talked about. No, you don't have to pump weights to look like The Rock or Dwayne Johnson, but you need to be doing some kind of activity. And they say on Google, you need at least 200 minutes per week to stay to be considered healthy.
Wow, that's awesome, man. Brother said something about health walks, excuse me, and calisthenics as well. You know, you can do that at home. You don't have to go anywhere. So we have no excuses. I'm going to see if I can ask you some, Chaz, here. I don't want to put you on the spot. I want to ask you this now.
Sure.
It's already 6:53 our time, but I want to see if we can go in overtime, maybe about 10 minutes in overtime. Because we still have about 4 more points, and I don't want to just cut this thing off right here and come back for just 4 points. So I wanted to see if we can get you to hang around with us. Okay, so here's something else we want to do. When you snack, and when I snack, why can't we do this, Chaz? Why can't we snack with fruits and nuts? Why does a snack have to be always something chocolate or something sugary?
I think it has to do with how we were brought up. Most of our parents or uncles who raised us, they didn't really know this information, so they thought snacking was always Doritos, Lay's, and Fritos. I think that's the issue. So once we throw that crap out and start to reprogram our minds, because the fruits, the snack and nuts, it's going to help you. And even though it may be a little bit more expensive, but spend that extra $2 or $3 to help your health. And I would suggest, if you can afford it, to go out and get you some nuts, avocados, pecans, pumpkin seeds is another thing that's good for inflammation. So all that is good if you can afford it.
Well, let me take a shot at this one, because this one here is something that I've been wanting to talk about for a long time. I won't spend too much time on it, but we need to eat healthy and we need to have an active lifestyle, it's going to support healthy aging.
Yes.
Some of us are in our 30s and our 40s, and we look like we got one foot in that thing, the other foot is out. And it's because we didn't exercise. We didn't do anything when we were growing up. And so I'm saying that we should age. You remember how they used to say, black don't crack?
Yeah.
It's cracking now. It's cracking. It's cracking. It's because we're not taking care of ourselves. Just because we have certain melanin in us, that's not a guarantee that when we turn, if we live to be 60, 70, and 80, that we're going to actually look like we're in our 50s. Because they say, well, the new 50s is the new 30s. Well, nowadays, no, the 80s is the 80s. In fact, the 60s is the 80s in some people's lives because we're not eating healthy, and we're supposed to age gracefully. We don't have to. And we're going to do a broadcast, Chad, so get ready. We're going to do a broadcast on aging. In other words, why people don't want to get older. Why do we put dye in our hair? Why do we, put in stuff on us? Because we don't want to leave this earth. But we take care of ourselves.
And it's a part of,
go ahead.
It's a part of life, because that's been brought up in the media as well. And I know we run out of time, but real quick, I want to say with the aging, who told you that you have to look like you're 22? Or you're going to get older. The only thing that I would suggest is to stay active, but to sit back and, like you said, run to Sally's, getting hair dye, going to buy 40 pounds of makeup, and then when you walk in the store, you got on all this makeup. Throw that crap out. You're going to get old anyway. So the best thing I would suggest, quit wasting your money on all that makeup. Quit wasting your money on dye. Be yourself and quit listening to everything the media tells you.
Chaz, you sound like me Saturday. You going in, and that's good because you really care for our people. I want to make two quick comments because a brother just gave me a tip. He said eating celery burns calories and supplies dehydration and iron. And so I'm going to start doing it. That's a tip I got, and I'm going to start doing that. But then he says something that's funny. He says, black don't crack, but black sure can't get fat. This guy, you guys, we're having fun with this, but it's true because we need to do a better job. What about this one? Make sure our children and adults are eating enough vegetables.
Yes.
Vegetables. Why don't we feed our children vegetables, Chaz? Back in the day, our grandparents, they made you eat vegetables. You didn't have a choice, but now vegetables are unheard of with our children.
And it's nasty to children because, like pizza, all these foods, and chicken and steak, they get you full. A lot of us don't like vegetables because it doesn't get us full to our liking. So that's why a lot of kids probably, they look at vegetables and peas and carrots, they think it's nasty because it's not normal to them, and plus it doesn't get them full.
I'm gonna let you take this one because we have one more point that we can get out of here, but we normally, leave at 7. It's already going on 7 our time. But anyway, I just want to get this out. But I'm gonna let you have this one because I know you salivating for this one. I'm gonna put it up on the screen, and it's number 12, and it says this: avoid eating red meat if possible.
Like I told you earlier about the beef. If you go to YouTube, you look at an internet video and just type in red meat. I believe it causes gout. It causes a lot of health issues. The animals that were slayed at that time, you're taking on that energy and that fear and all that scared. When they were scared and stuff as they were getting killed, you're putting that in your body, and then you wonder why you feel so depressed. And I forgot to mention, some foods will make us depressed. I'm really at the point to believing that because I would eat a lot of chicken, I would eat a lot of red meat, and I would wonder, like, why do I feel so sad now? It's because of the energy that you took on after you ate that animal that was slayed. That's why you feel that way.
Let me ask you this, because I know sometimes you're out of the blue, you'll ask me a question, but I want to ask you this because I know at one time you had gained a lot of weight. You weren't big as a house, but you had put on a lot of weight. Your face looked like a blowfish. And then you said,
you had to take all them pot shots at me, man.
But you said you did something, and I can see now you really are taking care of yourself. How did you stop eating all of that stuff that you just used to just shove in your face?
It started off little by little. It started off, instead of eating 2 tacos at Taco Cabana, I started off, I used to eat 2, then I went to 1, and then I just slowly went away from it, slowly but surely. And then on top of that, I was disciplined, and I told myself, I'm not going to need a health tip motivator. I'm not going to need anyone to help me get myself back in shape because my chest and stuff was sometimes hurt and it was just a bad shape.
Wow.
So that's why I just wanted to do that on my own.
Well, that's a good thing that you did. But if you look at the screen, you're going to see what we love. And I guess what I'm trying to get to is a lot of us, we're going to have to cut back on this stuff, man. We can't have this every day. And while I'm talking, I'm just reading comments. Someone says, a year ago, I weighed 199 pounds, and now I'm down to 175 today. That's good.
Wow.
Yeah, that's
Wow.
an awesome statement. So,
Yeah.
but Chaz, I'm telling you, people don't want to talk about this, Chaz, but we're dying. But look at what's on the screen. This is what most of our diets consist of. And, you know, especially our children. You know,
Yes.
we're beginning to make our children fall in love with something that's dangerous. This is a dangerous thing. And we're not teaching, okay, you can have pizza maybe once a month or twice a month. And then here's why the child going to say, why can't I have it? And then a lot of us don't do it because they're going to say, well, you eating the same thing that I'm eating. So it's like we have to be parents, better parents when it comes to our children, because this stuff on this screen now, Chaz, you know, a lot of us, if it doesn't look like this, we don't want it.
It does, and I'm not going to call this brother's name out. He used to be with us. I believe he went to another state, and I think you know where I'm going with this. One of our, I look at him as a little brother. He got mad at me and you because I believe he told us one day he came to your school and said, "I'm mad at my father." We said, "Why, brother? Why are you mad at him?" He said, "Because his father wouldn't give him barbecues every day." Oh, me and you laughed, and we said, "Brother, you know, don't worry about it. Just take care of yourself. Don't do that." But this little brother was literally angry because his father didn't barbecue every day. Do you know what that would do to the body, even if that were possible? And
But
bless his heart, he didn't know though.
Yeah, and that's what I was going to say, Chaz. When an adult just kind of programs is the best word I can use. We program these children into that, and these children actually think this is normal. So when you pull it from them, when you pull it all from them, they think something is wrong because this is what they're used to getting. And so
Right.
it goes back to parenting. And I want to say this, Chaz, and I want to talk about this because this is the last point, and we'll close out. I want you all to again check out this Saturday at 1 o'clock Central Standard Time, the John Kev Show. It's on YouTube, so you can go to YouTube and check it out. But what about this here? Hines Ward, which was one of the football players, he said that checkup was really important. How important is getting regular checkups on our health?
It's very important, and I need to do a better job. There's nothing to fear, family. If you are afraid to go into the doctor because you're afraid to get in a bad health report, just go anyway. It's better to know than not to know. And I would suggest it's sad that we think that there's going to be a lot of problems. It may not be as many problems if you think, if you jump on it quickly. So get up and go to that doctor, see what they're talking about. It may not be that bad. And if it is, take that as motivation to try to change your lifestyle, because you don't want to be dying at the age of 40 or 50. You want to die and leave this earth at least around 70 or 80, at least somewhat, if you can.
That's true. We need to get regular checkups. We'll support Adults Only by cash apping Big Brother Jahi. Whatever contributions you have, I appreciate it, because I understand it's tough out there, but whatever you can, that's fine. I want to read this comment. A brother says, Monday I had a grilled chicken on my salad and have not eaten meat since Monday. I go sometimes a week with no meat. All these are good tips.
Yes.
These are, and see, but his lifestyle, see, he's probably used to that by now, because this is what he does, and that's really good. Again, support support Adults Only by cash apping Big Brother Jahi. Whatever you can contribute, we would appreciate it, so we can continue to do these shows and also help pay for this stuff that we're showing, all these slides. This is really, it makes it well and fun, so we can see things in action instead of us just talking for an hour. Here's one of the things we're going to close on, but I go back to this. Love yourself. Chaz, we have to take better care of ourselves, but a lot of that comes from a proper view of loving.
Right.
We have to love ourselves enough. Remember your ancestors, because our ancestors have us here. I'm sure that they didn't have access to all that we have. And even they ate better. They ate better because they didn't eat a lot of processed foods, which I didn't show, but there was a chart I had on processed foods. Maybe we'll get to it in the future, but the dangers of processed foods and how they put so much salt in that so that it can last. all those canned goods. I had a chart. And again, like I said, we'll show it some other time, but it talks about all the processed foods and how dangerous it's like opening up a can of beans and pouring a whole lot of salt in there and then sealing it up. And that way it'll last. That's why they call it a preserved foods. Go ahead.
Can I ask you something just real quick? Now,
Sure.
the people who create our foods, I have a serious issue with them, and they have laws and stuff to where we can't really sue them. We can just pray over our food, hope that we don't get sick. But who sits back and says, okay, everybody in this world, I'm going to intentionally poison their drinks, poison their foods, poison their candy. I mean, dude, these dudes should be locked up forever and the key should be thrown away. But now it's to the point that the whole world is accustomed to them poisoning us. I mean, this is sickening.
Yeah, this is a sad and a wicked and an evil world in which we live in. And just think about it. You talk about some of the fruits and stuff that we have. We should wash those because they spray pesticides on those fruit. And a lot of that fruit, man, it's terrible. And it gives people cancer. It gives them skin issues. And it's like these are people that sit back, like you said, and they try to make money. They give these animals steroids to make them bigger because we don't want a small piece of meat now. We want the biggest piece that we can see because our mindsets are the bigger, the better. And they don't see that psychologically they have damaged us to a degree that we're basically just stool pigeons, you know?
And I think there's a company called Monsanto or Monsantos or something like that. Basically, these are the people who are responsible for removing all the seeds and all of the things from our food. And you know what they've done? All the seeds and stuff that they removed from this food, they've actually stacked that, and I don't know where they put it, but basically it's only for the rich and wealthy people to get a hold to these nutrients and things like that. And Monsanto's, that's a crying shame for you to be doing that to people. I mean, it's just sickening, and it's only for the rich people who are able to have access to those foods.
And a brother says all the citizens of America should be protesting against the Food and Drug Administration, FDA, because they allow these foods to pass. And just because you see FDA on it, we think that that's really good. We think, well, the Food and Drug Administration, they approved it, so it must be good. And if it doesn't have the FDA on it, we said something wrong with it, when I'm saying there's something wrong with a lot of the stuff that is approved by the government.
You get me fired up, and I'm not trying to get this channel struck, but I think you should do some more. We may be able to do something about the FDA administration. Mm-hmm. These are some wicked, low-down people for some of the stuff they poured over America. And for them to sit back and think of these things, this is just, like you said, it's a wicked nation that we live in.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, you hear the music. I just wanted to thank Chaz for coming on. We got a lot covered today, and I thank y'all for staying overtime.
Yes.
Those who have stayed overtime with us, because we truly appreciate you listening, because we really hope that you do the tips that we are giving as well as ourselves, because these tips will help us. It will add years to our lives and our children. We got to start teaching our children that our children are at a state now where it's up to us. Because when we leave this earth, they're going to repeat what we've done and what we've given them. So let's do a better job at making sure that they stay away from the salt, the sugar, the greasy foods, and that kind of thing. Do you have any final words to say, Chaz, before we depart?
One thing. Next week, what is your program going to be about?
You know, I might want to just take you up on that FDA situation. Maybe we can get into that because I think we want to start looking at everything is not glamour and gold. It looks like everything is not glitzy. So we can look at that, but you know, we definitely want to keep people informed, because that's what the issue is. A lot of us don't look at broadcasts that inform us. You know, we had people watch this broadcast. When they see what we're talking about, they get off. But yet they don't realize that they are a part of the conspiracy that's killing us. So yeah, we can do that, and then we'll come back with talking about the Food and Drug Administration, give you some stats, give you some statistics, show you some charts, and show you what these people are doing, how they're making money off our deaths.
Yeah, and I want to say real quick on departing, I appreciate everybody that watched. I love you guys. It may seem like I'm, crazy and angry, but this is just out of love, and I want you guys to exercise and work out because it's going to help you live a little bit longer. I appreciate you for having me on the show, big brother.
Okay, thank you, Chaz. Mm-hmm. All right, so that's Chaz, our correspondent, our field reporter. I wanted to leave you with some encouraging words that we can all do a better job, and all of us are included. But I thank you all for tuning into this broadcast. And I didn't tell you something about Chaz and I. We are on our fourth CD. We've done like 4 CDs full of positive music. spiritual music, music about the world, music about nature, music about how we treat each other in relationships. And so I'm going to leave you with one of our songs. And again, this is Adults Only. I'm your big brother, Jahi. I thank y'all for basically spending time with us and staying after hours, going into overtime. So I want to say to all of you, Shem Imhotep, which means we want to leave you with a peace, a healthy peace. And we want to leave you with a nice peace. We say Shem Imhotep to Bibi, and Shem Imhotep to all of you. And we say Ankh Ujasanel, which gives you peace, prosperity, and a long life. And that's the only way you want to have a long life, is if we pay attention to these tips. So I'm going to leave you with a song that we did. It's a prelude, and that's the last thing you're going to hear. And so having said that, I'd like to let you all know that we appreciate you all coming on Adults Only, and we're out of here. We'll see you guys next week. Stay safe, drink a lot of water, get your exercise, read labels, and make sure you alter your lifestyle so that you can live as long as you should.
Dua Hotel, we ask for permission from our ancestors to speak today. We must invoke your consent to even open our minds. We are cries from the womb. We come to you with a divine feminine cosmology. Yeah, Mother Earth, Mother Nature.
The Queen Bee, the great cosmic mother, as above, so below.
Come on.
We understand and relate to the black woman, for she is the key to our survival.
Come on.
Don't y'all get it? I guess not.
That feminine energy, the first ancient cosmology of the world before it was corrupted. That divine, feminine, primordial concept of the womb.
Come on.
Dua creator, divine force, supreme energy, and great power. Lead us on this journey called life, looking forward to the Duat.
Ancestors, be with us at this moment.
Sekhmet.
Guide and protect us, for we are your offspring. We will never forget your sacrifices and continue influencing
Divine principles
and energy in our lives.
Hotel, the primeval waters of noon.